Hello and welcome to our next segment on Heathenism 101. I am Asgard Skegg, and in this segment of the video we're going to be talking about the festival and holiday celebrations that you're going to find commonly in Norse paganism. And this is going to be pretty much accurate across the board for most all of the different branch variations of Norse paganism, especially applicable in heathenism, which is the path that I follow. So let's dive right on in here, and we're going to start with the first festival celebration of the year, which is celebrated commonly on January 14th, and that is known as Thora Brat. Now this is a midwinter festival here, and it is held in honor of Thor. Now it's also celebrated with lots of parties. The blot that is performed, or ritual, is performed in honor of Thor, and there is a great amount of feasting and a great amount of fires and bonfires. This festival celebration is essentially to thank Thor for his protection of us and over us during the winter months against the powers of cold and frost of the Jotunheim. The next one is going to be commonly practiced on January 31st, and this is called Disting or Disa Blat. Now it is also commonly known as Charming of the Plow. Now this is the first of the festival harvest celebrations, and this is going to be where your fields are going to be blessed with a sacrifice or an offering. The first planting would look to probably getting ready to get prepared for, and the blots that are held are primarily held to Freyr, who is the primary agricultural god of the pantheon. Now the Landvetir, or they're also known as land rights, they are also honored and thanked, and offerings would be left outdoors for them as well. Now the next one, there's a lot of conflicting information on this one, and it's because partially where it falls on the calendar, and that is on February 14th, and this is the Feast of Vali. Now Vali is one of the gods within the pantheon, but what's most important to understand with this holiday is that there are no connections whatsoever between the Feast of Vali and what we commonly know as Valentine's Day, Saint Valentine, or even the more Roman traditions of Lupercalia. So the Feast of Vali does not have any connections towards those other individual celebrations, and it was primarily just to venerate the god Vali. Now our next one takes place on the actual first equinox of the year, and this is in March, and this celebration is known as Ostara. Now Ostara has more Germanic roots than it does actual Scandinavian roots. So the festival celebration is named after the goddess Ostara, which is a Germanic goddess who was commonly associated with springtime, the first planting of the field, also very heavy ties into fertility as well. Now Ostara has a companion animal that she's commonly seen with, that is the hare or the rabbit. Now, a lot of modern day American practices about Easter actually have their rooted origins in the Ostara celebrations, and of course practiced around the same time of the year as well, on the equinox for March. There's a lot of festival gatherings. There are a lot of planting of flowers would be tradition for this. Lots of bonfires. They would even color eggs, so the coloring of the eggs in the egg hunt is actually Germanic in ancestry as well. But Ostara it's a festival celebration of new birth, basically, and it signals the beginning of essentially the warm part of the year. Now our next celebration down, and Freya, for the Norse pantheon when it comes to Ostara, Freya would be the one who is venerated primarily during the Ostara period as well. Okay, so April 15th now is what is known as Sigurblot, or Summer's Dog. And this is, according to the old Icelandic calendar, this would have been the first day of summer. And it has very strong and agricultural ties as far as the festival practice goes. And in ancient days, it was also a time to sacrifice to Odin for success during the summer raids or the summer traveling and voyages. So sacrifices and offerings would have been made to Odin around that time. May 1st is commonly known as May Day. This is a festival in which Freya is almost exclusively venerated, and it's celebrated for the greening of the fields and the growing of the crops, basically. But it also has very, very heavy fertility undertones, being that Freya is the goddess that is venerated during that time. Now, May 20th is Frigg, or Friggablot. And as the name suggests, Frigga is the goddess that is venerated, and the blots and the celebrations and the offerings are given to her. It's a time to be thankful for your health and your personal vitality, the vitality of family, kindred, clan, and tribe as well. June, on the solstice, is known as Midsummer. Now, Balder is most commonly known as the one who is venerated for this particular festival, and it's because of his ties to being called the Bright and Shining One. The festivals are large, lots of bonfires, and the goddess Sol, which is one of the Disir, she would also have been commonly venerated at this time, being the very long it was also a reminder festival that the winter was coming and winter was approaching. August 1st is the festival known as Freyfest, or Freyfaxi, or in certain Saxon circles it's even called Lammas. Now, Lammas comes from, again, Anglo-Saxon, and this festival was converted from an old pagan harvest festival in which Freyr would have been primarily venerated. Large banquet feasts, lots of getting together, lots of food at that time, because the first initial harvest would probably have been available at this particular time. But unfortunately, there's no purely pagan or purely Norse or Scandinavian name that has survived for this particular harvest. All of these names, Freyfest, Freyfaxi, and Lammas, are all post-Christianization influenced festivals. Now, the next festival is on September the 21st, and that is Fall Fest, or also known as Haustblot. Freyr is again venerated for this one, and it's another harvest bounty celebration. Large feasts, lots of celebrations, lots of mead, and this would also have been the time where people started very keenly becoming aware that they needed to begin their hard preparations for the winter months, because at this point in the calendar year, it's fast approaching, especially for the ancients who lived so far up north. Now, the next celebration is on October the 14th, and it is called Vetrablot. Now, winter begins by the old Icelandic calendar somewhere between the 11th and the 17th of October. So Freya and the Disir would have been honored during this festival, as well as Freyr, as it's primarily a harvest festival, and it's to celebrate the collection of the harvest at this particular point, the bounties of the field. So this celebration and festival really would have been to celebrate the fruits of the field and the filling of the winter stores to get through the hard winter months. Blots would definitely have been offered to, again, Freyr, Freyja, and to many of the other Disir as well. Now, on October the 31st, we have Veturnatur, and this is the last of the harvest festivals that are celebrated throughout the year. In the old world, animals that were likely not to survive the winter months would have been sacrificed during this particular festival, and the meat would have been prepared to go into the stores to have saved for the winter months as largely as you could. And also marking that it's the end of the harvest festivals, it's really also one of the beginning of the winter festivals. And large fires are the big staple when it comes to all of the winter festivals that we're going to talk about. Freya and the Disir would also have been honored during this one, in addition to Freyr. The next holiday is on November the 11th, which here in America we also know it as Veterans Day. But November the 11th in our calendar is known as the Feast of the Einahar. And the Einahar are the elite troops, the elite warriors of Odin, and they kind of occupy, the position of security and police work of Asgard, as well as they made up the primary body of their armies during the story of Ragnarok. So the Feast of the Einahar is a festival in which Odin and the Einahar are primarily going to be venerated, large feastings, and there would have been a lot of stories from individuals who have known warriors of past, who have gone on to the halls of Valhalla. Myself, I have 3 men that I served in the war in Iraq with who were killed in action, and on the Feast of the Einahar, I honor those 3 men every single year because they died serving the ideals that they believed in, and they believed in dying for freedom. So that is the Feast of the Einahar. The last holiday in the calendar year is actually the longest out of all of them, because most of these festivals would generally be just 1, maybe 2 days long. Now, Yuletide, or Yod, as it would have been pronounced in the ancient tongue, is actually a 13-day long festival, which the whole 12 days and nights of Christmas came from as well. The festival celebration would have begun right there on the winter solstice, and that's generally somewhere around December 21st if you're in the northern hemisphere. So this festival, Thor is exclusively venerated and worshipped. He is considered known to be the protector of humans, and that it is from the Jötnar, the giants, that he protects us from. We get our cold weather during the year, we believe, as influenced by the close proximity of the giants in Jotunheim and their close proximity to us here in Midgard. But Thor is very highly venerated during this particular festival. Lots of bonfires, lots of feasting. Gift giving was also a very big tradition. They would decorate their trees with candles and other decorations, and this was to appease the forest elves and the forest trolls and the sprites, and it was to appease them, as you would also leave offerings out for them at the same time as well. Now, the last night of Yuletide is what is known as Twelfth Night, and Twelfth Night is a night that Odin is exclusively venerated, but Thor is honored because he carries Mjolnir, and Mjolnir is known as the consecrator of oaths. So on Oath Night, it is exactly what it describes from, and the origin of the New Year's resolutions actually comes from this particular festival celebration, because it was during this time that you would make oaths of things that you dedicated yourself to doing the next year, whether it is to be better and more diligent with your occupation, to be a much more present father or lover or companion, or you wish, aid in the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge. Whatever the case is, Oath Night would have been the night where those oaths would have been consecrated and generally spoken to a godai during an actual structured celebration. And the godai would essentially be witness to these oaths, because we know the concept and the way that we make oaths. There always has to be at least one witness to the oath, because somebody has to be witness to that oath, so that if there's ever a deviation from it, someone can then rightly attest that you made the oath on this and you have broken it and such forth like that. So that is the heathen calendar in a nutshell. There are many days which are known as honorarium days, where they actually honor and remember certain ancient, well-known, distinguished Viking leaders, Scandinavian leaders, and kings. Most of them are notoriously and well known because during the forced conversion of Scandinavia, many of these true Scandinavians chose death over conversion. So there are quite many out there. I do definitely encourage you to look them out. There's even a day in March, I believe it is, that honors the day where Ragnar Lothbrok sacked the city of Paris. And during this particular time in history, the sacking of a city like Paris was considered to be impossible, especially to a group of a warrior caste of people like the Vikings, who weren't really adept at siege warfare. They really preferred their battle out on the field and take their chances in pitched battle. So that's the summary of it. I hope you enjoyed it. We've got one more session left of the initial 101 classes, so to speak, and our next one is going to be, we're going to talk about altars, blots, offerings, and sacrifices. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next segment, and walk always with the gods.